Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here coming at you from the KnifeCenter, and today we're talking about the best keychain knives that you can add to your EDC. And we've got some folders, some multi-tools, and even a few fixed blades as well. Let's check them out. So keychain knife is a super handy way to have an edge on you just about at all times. Whether you're a knife person already and you just want some kind of smaller complement to your primary knife, or for non-knife people, these are great gifts because this is one way they're going to be a little more likely to actually carry a knife on them if they wouldn't be the kind of person to carry a knife in their pocket in the first place. All kinds of utility in something like this, because most people are going to have a keychain or a key ring that they'll be able to put these little guys on. So what we're going to start with is, you kind of have to start with this particular knife. It is the SOG Folding Key Knife, because it literally takes the form of a small key. You can get this in the black stainless steel body or a standard non-blackened version as well. The black version might show like chips and scuffs over time a little more, which some may prefer, some may not. But in any case, there are options, and they're both the same price, about that $12 point. Cool thing about this too is it's not just a slip joint blade or a non-locking blade. You actually have a lock back here you can see on the side. But it's just gives you a small pen blade, about 1.5 inches long, with locking capability, which is quite nice. Steel here, as with most keychain knives out there, it uses stuff that's fairly basic. You know, there's few choices where you get a premium steel, and you've got a 5CR stainless right here. You know, pretty basic stuff, but certainly very serviceable. And the locking utility, I gotta say, is nice and nicely integrated into this design. You'll be able to get a decent hold on it, even with just 2 fingers around kind of the main key section. But as with most keychain knives, likelihood is these are going to be on your key ring, so the keys and everything else protruding off the back is going to actually give you a little bit more grip and a little bit more security, so you can use that knife with a little more confidence. But really cool place to start, and the novelty factor on this is really great, especially as a gift for a non-knife person. A lot of people are going to love this. All right, the next couple of blades we're going to look at are what I kind of like to think of as rudimentary edges on these tools. These aren't necessarily a kind of a standalone pocket knife sized or designed to fit on a keychain. They're just giving you a sharp edge as you go. The first is the Gerber Key Note, which comes in about 20 bucks, and pretty large fob here, as you can see. You could actually use this to kind of anchor the rest of your keychain carry, keys, etc., because it's got a nice split ring attached to the bottom already. It does come with a pocket clip if you wanted to carry it that way, but for keychain use, you'll probably want to remove that. The handles here are actually aluminum. You can get them in this bronzed brown color or a black. The bronze color comes with a black blade. The black color comes with a stonewashed or a satin blade. I can't remember for sure, but not the black coating in any case. And the way this works is it's essentially a 2-hand opener with a very stubby tanto blade here. You do get a sharp point or 2 sharp points that you could use when opening a package. You can also do some kind of scrapey things with the leading edge of this. Not something you're going to be doing a lot of slicing with, both due to the shape and due to the thickness there. But it'll help you open a box in a pinch, and it gives you that sharp edge when you need it. There is a small flipper tab that should be talked about, but they didn't design this as actually a full-on flipper. The way Gerber says is that's designed to kind of help push the blade open, so you can finish it one-handed, kind of pinch it open if you need to, but not a true flipper tab. So keep that in mind if you're a knife aficionado and you see that little feature. But pretty solid feeling when opened, and you got a nice stout handle to hold on to that nice stout blade as well. So our next little knife is a bit of a novelty piece, but pretty cool gift item as well. This is the LionSteel LionBeat. Comes in about 34 bucks right now. Folded up, you can see it's this heart-shaped pendant essentially, and you do get a split ring, technically 3 split rings attached to it as well. So you've got that another option to kind of anchor the rest of your keychain. Handle here, we've got olive wood. There's also some other handle materials, both synthetic and natural, available. And this is basically a small friction folder. Peel open the heart. I guess it's like a broken heart type of thing. But you peel that open and you have a small blade here. Just a standard basic 440 stainless chisel ground. Again, not a major slicer, but a sharp edge in a pinch if you need to open a box or a package. Definitely pretty cool. But for the folks out there that like heart-shaped items, definitely going to be a really nice piece. You could even use this as a necklace pendant or something if you like. If you remove that, remove the split rings from the back and add a neck chain. Pretty cool. All right, I've got another wood-handled friction folding knife here that's kind of going to transition us away a little bit from kind of the rudimentary edges into more kind of actual pocket knives, or what we think of as actual pocket knives. This is the Opinel N04. This is from the Colorama collection. Again, very inexpensive, about 12 bucks, and you get the ring here on the end right away. Nice wood handle. It's the same comfortable Opinel shape you know and love. No locking ring on this particular knife, so keep that in mind. But the blade here is definitely worthy of mention. Nice and thin. Very thin with that full flat grind is going to be a pretty good slicer for its size, about a 2-inch blade. You also get a Sandvik stainless steel here, 12C27, which is a step up definitely from some of the basic stuff we typically see in this range. I actually really like 12C27 steel in general. It sharpens really easily, takes a really fine edge very nicely, polishes up, but I find this to just be a really, really good choice for these affordably priced keychain knives. Now, if you want some kind of locking mechanism on your keychain knife, we'll get into a few of those now. The first, the Kershaw Cinder. And technically this is a multi-tool because we do have a bottle opener section here at the back. This guy's about $14. You've got a 1.4-inch blade. Again, basic stuff. You've got a 3CR stainless here, and not a ton of cutting length, but you do get a bit more handle here. They kind of prioritize that a little bit, which I really like actually on these smaller keychain knives. Again, getting as much of a hold as you can on the knife is going to be a bit more important than actually having more length, I think. But you have two prominent kind of finger groove spaces and then a gentle curve at the back so your last fingers can kind of roll off the edge if you need to. You've got one hand opening thanks to the thumb stud, and you've got a liner lock as well, so you've got the security. Folds up nice, opens up easily enough for such a small knife, and it's got a good shape for, again, package and box opening. That's kind of the primary role that these types of things are likely to see. Synthetic handles, these are Zytel, I believe, but you can also get them in copper, which is quite nice. Next up is a Boker plus the CLB Keycom, a Chadlos Banos design. That's the CLB. Affordable, 24 bucks, and you do get a few upgrades over some of the things we see here. First off, AUS-8 blade steel. Solid entry-level steel for sure, not a bargain basement thing. You've also got a stainless steel frame lock on the back, so you got good security there. You've also got a pocket clip, again, for your keychain duty. You probably want to remove that, but it's good to have the option. Front side, you've got an FRN handle, decent bit of texture, but still nice and thin. And one of the nice things about this particular knife, and the last knife we looked at too, for that matter, is an open-backed construction. On your keychain for something that's going to be kind of knocking around all the dust and dirt and grime of daily life. It's a very easy type of construction to be able to keep clean, which is definitely going to be a plus. Feel in the hand, like most, we've got a 2-finger grip, bolstered of course by your key ring, and that nice acute point here, very sharp tip in fact. Again, great little package opener. All right, next up is probably one of the most recommended keychain knives out there, the Spyderco Ladybug series. And I do actually have a few slight reservations about this pick, which I'll get into. Not end of the world type of things, but one of the few options out there where you can get a truly upgraded blade steel. This particular one right here is about $61, and it comes with K390, which if you're going for edge retention and you really want to make that small blade last as long as possible, this is about the cream of the crop in the keychain game, or indeed in most folding knife genres out there. K390 is going to hold an edge a real long time. Not a stainless blade, so keep that in mind. But if you want to spend a little bit less, you like the Ladybug series, VG10 is the standard steel, and those come in about $45 right now. I do like these full flat ground versions over some of the non-full flat versions. Again, good slicing capabilities. Nice lock back here, mid-mounted, so it's gonna hold nice and securely. And the FRN handles have about a 2.5 finger molded grip, or molded grooves on the front, and does a decent job of feeling very secure in the hand, even without a keychain on the back. Now, the reason I say I'm a little leery of these is you have a pretty easy to use thumb hole here for opening. Even if you have slightly larger than average hands, it works pretty well. I do worry sometimes about maybe something snagging that and pulling it open. So for that reason, my favorite Spyderco to recommend for the keychain genre is actually going to be without a locking mechanism, and that's the GrassHopper, one of their miniature slip joints. Price on these, $23. You've got stainless steel construction in this satin or a black finish. We talked about the differences between those a little earlier. And a pretty good blade here, 2.3 inches, a little bit more length than anything I think we've looked at so far. We've got that 12C27 as well. Great steel characteristics and great slicing characteristics combined into one. Now, it's non-locking, like I said, but because of the kind of finger hold that they recommend here, you've got 2 main fingers and probably about another 1 1/3 of a finger for me on the back half. A little more length to grip onto than that Ladybug we just looked at. But where your index finger sits, if the blade were to start to close on you, your finger's there in the way just a little bit, just gonna keep it from popping closed. And gonna be harder for it to accidentally open due to the pressure pulled back onto the blade and the smaller thumb hole as well. But I think these are really, really good options. All right, next up, if you're looking for a small keychain folder that you still want to be kind of as robust and strong as possible, the new micro Recons from Cold Steel I think are a great choice. Price on these are about $26. The steel is a 4034 stainless, so basic stuff. But the key with this knife is you've got Cold Steel's triad lock on the back, which knife devotees will tell you looks and kind of operates just like a lock back, but it is even stronger due to some of the internal kind of workings of the lock. Really solid locking mechanism. It's the same type you see on some of their very expensive knives, like $150 to $200 and more, still rely on this same type of lock. It just works exceptionally well. Paired with that, you've got Grivex handles, so Grivery, synthetic, and out of all of these guys, you definitely get the most grip out of this particular handle shape. It's wide enough and long enough that it really does feel secure. I don't feel like it's kind of flipping around in my fingers, or if I tried to kind of cut down a long box if I needed to, I don't feel like this would kind of like, knock out of my hands as I'm working. It's just that good feeling. Now you can get it in a couple different blade shapes, the spear point here or a tanto. You can also get the spear point in a black coating. I happen to really like the stone washed coating here because it's got a nice rugged character. And they're just gonna work really well. The one hand opening works nicely. You've got a reversible thumb stud so you can suit lefties or righties, no problem. And this one actually, it's not on the knife at the moment, but it does include a split ring in the box. The last couple knives, you have to kind of supply your own to make it work. But very clearly, the kind of most robust small folding keychain knife I can think of. All right, the next couple knives I think are truly aimed at the enthusiasts. We've got a couple of frame lock flippers that show up in the keychain genre. There's very few, but the new CIVIVI Mini Elementum is kind of the latest to lead the charge on this genre. About $42.50 for these brass or copper handled frame locks. 14C28N Sandvik steel, which is a step up from the 12C27 that we talked about already. You get a bit more edge retention out of this, and you get the security of the frame lock at the back. You get the classic Elementum shape, which is very neutral, so no matter your hand size, you'll be able to get some decent fingers on there with the key ring then behind it. But even without a key ring, if you wanted this just as a small standalone knife, it's got a fairly neutral shape that will work quite well. And what's really hard to get right about small knives that flip is actually to get them to flip nicely. The CIVIVI does a great job, as you can see. Works just like a full-size flipper, or just like you would expect a full-size flipper to work. You got a great little EDC blade shape behind it too. Just under 2 inches, good steel, excellent fit and finish, great choice. Next up is a Rike knife. This is the Hummingbird, and it is a full-on titanium frame lock flipper. It's not just a frame lock flipper, you've got the full kind of specs of just that knife style that's everywhere these days. Titanium handles, very sculpted, as you can see. Hummingbird name really befits this styling. Blade itself, just over 1.5 inches. You've got a Dama steel blade here. So that's a powder metallurgy blade steel, which, yeah, that's the first time we've seen that so far on this list. So if you're going for, or no, I'm sorry, I take that back. Our K390 blade from earlier was a powder metallurgy steel as well, but not stainless like this Dama steel blade. So you get that. Edge itself is going to last a good long time. K390 would still kind of take the cake in that face-off, but no matter, this is still a really cool knife. We've got a small milled pocket clip here. You could take it off. On this guy though, I might leave it on just down to the size. Overall, this is a very small knife. That pocket clip gives you a little bit more to anchor onto with your finger when you go to do that little flip. Grip itself is 2 fingers, and you've got your keychain loop there at the back. Interestingly, you've also got second method here. You can either put it on your keychain or around your neck because you've got a small Kydex sheath for it. So you could carry it neck style as well, or you could attach this Kydex sheath to your key ring. That way you're not having to use the knife with the keys attached if you don't want. You can actually open it up and use it separately. All right, now we've got a couple of fixed blades to take a look at, and the first two I really like because they almost get away with being the most unobtrusive you can get for a keychain because they look almost like a little USB stick, a little USB drive, which admittedly that's becoming less and less of a thing nowadays, but it's still pretty recognized. And this particular guy right here, the Almar Stinger, which comes in about 15 bucks, unless you're a knife person that already knew, you would never look at this and think, hey, that looks like a small knife. But it is. There's a couple different colors, the blue and black. I kind of like particularly, but you've got a small locking tab here that you push in and pull the blade itself out. Not a particularly ergonomic shape, but you've got a pretty decent steel here for the range, D2. It's a tool steel, not completely stainless, but really good edge retention for the price. 1.3 inches, and it's less of a knife that you're gonna kind of like put a solid grip on. I've found this particular style works really well with a pinch grip. Pull that out, open up the box or package. You can actually get some pretty precise feeling cuts with it. And then you're on, go about your day once you get your thing open. Slide that back in there and no one will ever be the wiser. Next up is the CRKT Scribe, which is a TJ Schwartz design. Comes in about $17 right now. A little bit longer. Also comes with a pocket clip, which can be removed, so you can just carry this standard style on the keychain with the lanyard hoop here at the end. But it separates apart. You've got on the keychain side, the blade itself sits, 5CR stainless, length of about 1 3/4. Nice drop point shape, just gonna work pretty well. If you happen to not want to carry this on the keychain, you can actually use the lid or the lid sheath, whatever you want to call it, pop it onto the back end. You've got a little bit more handle length to mess around with. Just don't go like wrenching on something, you'll probably just pop it off as you work. But no matter. The sheath itself, make sure you're putting it back on the wrong or the right way. It only goes on from one direction, but really unobtrusive. The nylon handles here look almost like carbon fiber. Again, nothing you would ever really suspect to be a knife on a keychain. All right, this next fixed blade, you don't really get the kind of USB stick vibe, but you get a nice American-made option here. This is the TEKNA Knives Extra Edge Fixed Watersports knife, but it's got applications way outside Watersports. 16 bucks. You've got a 1.5 inch blade here. I believe it's 420 HC. Again, pretty basic stuff, but a pretty nice shape. Similar to that Almar, this is going to be really nice in pinch grips, small little detail cuts when you're opening a package, that sort of thing. You can get it in that nice stone washed finish here. And this one actually comes off from the sheath, which retains or is retained on the keychain side itself. The sheath itself is going to work no matter which direction you place or you go to put the knife back in, so you don't have to think about that quite as much. If you're a little bit worried about it maybe coming loose, you can also get a blunt tipped version of this with a flat end right here. Not saying you should use it as a screwdriver, but you're going to at least avoid that tip if you're a little bit worried about that. A couple different colors too. Black is probably the most unobtrusive for most folks in their daily carry. But you also get a pretty high quality kind of screw type keychain or a ring here at the back too. Pretty nice. All right, last but not least, we've got some multi-tool options. And I'm not talking about some of the like one-piece multi-tools or other things you can get that are keychain sized. We're still going for knives here. So it's a knife-based multi-tool primarily. And when you're talking keychain knives, it's unavoidable. You gotta talk about Victorinox and their Swiss Army Classic SD model. Really great, really slim. You got a handful of tools, including a blade, nail file with a screwdriver tip. You've also got a pair of scissors and the toothpick and tweezers, and any color under the sun pretty much. You're bound to be able to find something out there for everyone. I really like these stay glow handles right here. They glow in the dark a little bit, so if you drop your keys somewhere, there's a chance you might be able to see it. I will say, however, I think there's a better Swiss Army knife than the Classic SD for most people, and that is the Rambler model, which I have right here. It's a little bit more expensive. It's about $27. The cheapest classics come in at about 17 or 18, I want to say. Same size from the front, tiny bit thicker. You have the same tools as the Classic SD, along with an extra multi-tool here with a Phillips screwdriver and a bottle opener. That's not the primary reason though why I think it's worth the upgrade. It actually has to do with the direction the blades open. You can see here the blade on the Rambler opens from the opposite side of your key ring, whereas on the Classic SD, it opens up from the same side as your key ring. And just holding those two up, I think it's pretty obvious which one is going to be a little more easy to use day to day. I'll take the blade opening away from the keys any day. Another option I really want to talk about from Victorinox is their ALOX Mini Champ. With the aluminum handles versus the plastic style Celador, you do lose the toothpick and tweezers, but this particular model has even more tools than those other guys. And because the ALOX is slimmer, it's barely any thicker than the Classic SD in the non-ALOX versions. There are really thin ALOX versions of the Classic SD as well. But they look really nice too. That aluminum has just a super classy appearance. You've got two different main blades, hook-shaped blades in here, all those same tools already, like I mentioned. Ton of stuff here in a very, very small package. The cool thing about these small Swiss Army knives too is they're not unobtrusive. They're people are going to recognize them as knives, but it's something that still most people don't bat an eye at. Passersby and onlookers. It's not going to gain you really any second glances having one of these super useful things on your keychain. Last but not least is a Leatherman. This is the Squirt PS4, which unfortunately they've discontinued a lot of their other good keychain tools, the Micra and the Style series with the dedicated blade on it. So we're left with this, which is good at least because it is a very good tool. And I fibbed a little bit. This is what I consider a pliers-based multi-tool, since you got the nice spring-loaded pair of pliers there on the inside, but you still do get a primary blade function. 420HC steel here, chisel ground, just a nice little handy pen blade, in addition to all kinds of other great tools, all of which you can access from the outside. A couple of different colors on the aluminum on these guys, 40 bucks, made in the USA. Definitely a cool option, and something a little bit different than the Swiss Army knives or the main blades we've looked at so far. A lot of utility here as well. All right, that's all I've got time to talk about today. A lot of knives here, actually. Let me know what your favorites were down in the comments. And if you have another keychain knife that you prefer to one of these, would also love to hear those as well. If you want to get your hands on any of these guys, we'll leave links in the description as always to take you over to KnifeCenter.com. Make sure you sign up for our Knife Rewards program so that when you put your money down on one of these knives for yourself or as a nice gift, you can earn some free money to spend on your next one. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center, signing off. See you next time.